We got a major bridge update for New Hampshire, and this is going to affect Nobo and Sobo. We got devastating storm damage up in Connecticut that's causing detours, or you're going to have to bushwhack through poison ivy, or you may have to take a shuttle. We got 2 missing hikers out there, that there is an APB out, and police departments are asking for your help. A dramatic 8-hour rescue of a hiker that was 1.5 miles in from injuries. It took 75 first responders. Hugely important warning that a hiker made a mistake and it took him off the trail, looks like for good this year. We got all this and more information coming at you, along with thru-hiker updates from the thru-hikers from the trail. Let's go. First up, we got Spotter. She's talking to us from the Whites.
Hey everybody, hey Ramdino. Coming to you from the top of Mount Lafayette. It is the most perfect day here. Gonna be heading over that direction very soon. And sun is shining, winds are calm. Some updates are that the water sources are still plenty north of me. And the Peabody River, which is the one that would have the detour over south of the Wildcats, it is totally rock hoppable. At least it is right now. Myself, as well as other hikers, have been able to just rock hop it. So there is no need to take the detour, no need to miss the beautiful Wildcats. You guys can head on over it. All right, guys, I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Spotter, for that huge bit of information there. So that lets Nobos and Sobos know, at least as of this week, that they don't have to worry about the detour. They can get across that crossing down there. The ford's just a rock hop. Obviously the bridge is out, or the bridges are not, you can't use the bridge. We're going to talk a little bit more about that bridge and what's happening with its replacement here in just a second, but that's great information. So Sobo don't have to miss a lot of stuff there. They don't have to walk up and then realize that the bridge, they can't ford it, and then they got to backtrack. Folks ain't going to miss the Wildcats. They're not going to miss some other iconic places on the trail. So thanks a lot, Spotter. That is awesome to hear. American Dad, he checks in from Connecticut. He wanted to give us a very important update, and he was one of the first to tell us about the issue going on in Connecticut. So it looks like somewhere around the 6th, I believe, maybe later, they had a terrible storm move through Connecticut. And this particular area that it moved to, it affected the trail there. So we got tons of blowdowns in there. We've got campsites. One of the campsites, the shelter's closed. So there at the Belters campsite at Nobo mile 1497, American Dad said it took forever to find his way through the blowdowns there. Said most people are bailing at Route 7 and either shuttling or road walking up to Salisbury. And big deal, he also is in Connecticut, and he's in that same area from the damage zone. He also reported in that those storms brought massive amounts of blowdowns between Falls Village and Salisbury. He said that stretch will require a considerable amount of bushwhacking through poison ivy. He highly recommends having pants, long sleeve shirt, good GPS, just to keep on trail, because a lot of places you can't even see the trail. Plan on a full day to get through this section and bypass it completely. As of July, he says, as of July 9th, he saw trail maintainers assessing the damage, but no substantial amount of clearing had taken place. So we're going to hear some other updates as we get through that. Let's go ahead and hear from hikers out there on other portions of the trail. So we got Pochar and Forrest, the father-son team. They sent in their update from Mount Washington.
What's up, Ramdino? We're at the top of Mount Washington.
All right, it's July 5th. What better way to spend 4th of July weekend than hiking the presidentials? It is awesome, huh?
It's amazing. It's super busy, though.
Yeah, it is. It's very busy. And the whites are pretty tough, so when you get here, expect your mileage to go down. But we wanted to check in everybody and say hi and let you know that we're doing well. And we are almost to where? Maine? Maine. So close.
Love to see father and son teams and mother-daughter teams and what have you, but love to see them all out there, but really neat to see they're getting close to getting to the final state of Maine. And then Moose Man, he reports in without Songbird, so this is the first we've heard from him when he didn't have Songbird. Songbird, of course, had to go back home. She had some repetitive injuries there that she did to herself, and that was just by repetitive, I mean repetitive use injury. So she couldn't even carry a pack anymore. It sounds like it was in her back. And so she went back to the doctor.
Hey Ramdino, Moose Man checking in. I thought last week was really difficult. My low, watching Songbird drive away back to North Carolina as I tried to continue on. Quick update on her. She was seen by a sports medicine doctor. She's got severe inflammation of her SI joint, and he said Advil will not do the trick, and that she needed to be on a heavy-duty anti-inflammatory med, and wants her to take 2 weeks off. So the plan is she's still going to try to join up with me somewhere up the line. I'm taking a 0 in Great Barrington. The weather has been brutal coming up to the 4th of July with the heat, and then the rain and the thunderstorms that we had coming up through Paulding and Salisbury. Just trying to take a little rest and take care of myself so I don't end up in the same boat. I think we have plenty of time to finish, and yeah, you don't realize how much you miss your partner until you're out here on your own. And she was a great part of the team, did a lot of the logistics, and helped me out so much, and kept me grounded. So it's a lot more difficult on your own, and I really do miss her. And just shout out to everybody out there, and take care. Thank you.
Moose Man is continuing on without her. So Moose Man, heart goes out to you for doing that. And Songbird, of course, if you're watching this, we hope that the doctor's going to get you straightened out and get you better. Our prayers go with you. Mine do. And hope that they get you straightened out and you can at least go up and get back on trail at some point with Moose Man, and maybe support him, and then get back and do the finish and come back and finish the parts that you missed. Zuko's made it to the Vermont-New Hampshire border. She is going to have to take some time off the trail because she's got to go back and take care of some family stuff. She did say the Lookout Shelter cabin there in Vermont was very nice. And of course, I've hiked through that area with Come Along, and it was an awesome view, I can tell you that. And just the shelter itself's got screens there and doors and everything. So it's a private shelter, meaning if the private entity that owns it is using it for camping or what have you, then it's not available to Appalachian Trail thru hikers, and so you would have to give way to them. But otherwise, you can use it, and so that is really a neat shelter up there. Got some awesome views. She also said the road crossing after the Lookout has a farm stand. I remember that farm stand. I got me like some boiled egg. No, I got me some eggs, and then I boiled them after that, and got ice cream, and they're fresh farm eggs, by the way, and some other stuff. But anyway, that was pretty neat. And then she also indicated that there's a small restaurant with ice cream a bit farther down the road. Ice cream on a hot day when you're hiking is really king daddy. I love that. And then we got Ash and Tie-Dye. They have a huge milestone to share with us.
Hey Ramdino, it's Ash.
Tie-Dye Goat.
We have made a milestone today.
Yes, we have.
If I can get somebody off the stump.
Woohoo! We have made it to 2,000 miles, which means we have less than 200 to go.
Yeah.
Hanging in there, slowly but surely. We'll check in later.
It's Ash and Tie-Dye coming to you on Thursday, July the 9th.
We are on a little Blue Blaze trail up on the Bigelows. We are over on North Horn, about 0.2 tenths. If anybody doesn't take it, it's awesome. Nice view of Flagstaff Lake behind us. We've got a little bit of a climb ahead of us today. Climbing for the next, actually just day. Then after that, we're going to hopefully get on flat ground. Maybe the next time you see us, we'll be further up in Maine. See you then. Bye.
They also added they are currently almost coming to the 100-mile wilderness. There were a few miles north at the time of that from the Kennebec River. They said water has been plentiful with exceptions of over the Bigelows. People need to fill up at Horns Pond, Leans-To. They said there was a small landslide between Caratuck and Pleasant Pond. but the MATC is already working on that location. So that's huge to be coming into the 100-mile wilderness after don't have a lot of contact with folks usually in the 100-mile wilderness. The contact after that we have with them is from Katahdin. So don't forget about us when you get to Katahdin up there, Ash and Tie-Dye. And then Sis, she also reports in from Mount Washington.
Hey Ramdino, it's Sis with Hiking on a Prayer. Just checking in from the top of Mount Washington. Yeah, we made it and we are in the whites and we are having an amazing time. But it is hard. It is hard. We've had just the most gorgeous weather. I mean, I feel a little guilty because it's been so nice. The wind is blowing, but it's like, I mean, it's beautiful up here. It's beautiful. We've got a few more days left in the whites, and then we'll be pushing on to Maine. So y'all take care, and God bless.
Thanks, Sis. Greatly appreciate that. So typically in updates, we've got Zuko and Flatpick. Well, Flatpick, unfortunately, has had to get off due to an overuse injury. This was on his Achilles tendon. And so he'd been taking vitamin I, trying to overcome that, and just was not able to push the miles that he wanted to push like that. And it's a good thing he didn't. He got off trail, went back to his doctor, and it looks like he was shredding his tendon tissue. That is not a good thing. And that is a warning to folks out there that, you know, if your body's hurting, you need to listen to your body. Don't just take ibuprofen and let that mask that symptoms, because you may get past the point of no return, or certainly for that hike. You may have to get off the trail for a couple days, a week, to whatever's going on, those symptoms you're trying to treat with that vitamin I. You may have to get off trail and just and let it rest up. Otherwise, your hike may end like Flatpicks did. So another thing is, when you have an injury like that, that's going to lead to you kind of favoring that. Your gait's going to be different, and that's going to start stressing out joints and ligaments and tendons and muscles that you don't typically use when you're hiking, and you haven't used the previous 1,500 or miles that you've hiked prior to that. And so you're going to start stressing those out. That may wind up ending your hike too. So Flatpick, hope you get all that stuff worked out and can get back on trail and finish up before the calendar year's out.
Hello, Ramdino! We are at the beautiful hostel of Maine, and we are taking a well-deserved 0 day. We hit mile 2,000 yesterday. I've got a lot of friends here with us, and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
Waterboy from Chicago.
Scat Pack.
Pep, I'm a PA shuttle driver.
Owlcat.
Lost and found.
Mrs. Pac-Man.
Mr. Pac-Man.
We are planning everything out. We will be summiting Mount Katahdin. What did we say? July
27.
No. Is it 27? No, it's
32.
17. Don't listen to this guy. Hey, the trail's great. Lots of water. Lots of rocks and roots. Still early in Maine. We're going over the Bigelows tomorrow. And we are having fun. Appalachian Trail 2.0, baby!
Yeah. So news we got, Lick Creek Bridge, I believe that's down in Virginia. That had the bridge has been washed out since 2020. And they had, Helene came through and dropped some big trees down upstream of that. And so before that, people were having to ford that Lick Creek, and typically it was only like, when I forded it, it was like, I don't know, shin deep, maybe just over my ankles. Occasionally it can get more than that, get up to your waist, but it's typically not an issue. But there are people that don't want to get wet. They want to take their shoes off for whatever reason, don't want to wear their camp shoes, and they don't want to get wet, and so they were using those logs and trees to cross upstream. Well, the problem with that is, if you fall off those logs, they were pretty high. One, it was multiple logs, and that's how I broke my wrist and got the updated hardware plate, titanium plate with the 13 screws, by climbing over multiple logs and one of them shifting. So it happens. And so people were doing that. The ATC was warning against that, because if you fell in there, you could get hurt on the way down. Plus, there's strainers, meaning there's branches and limbs and bunch of wadded up stuff across the creek that you could get caught up in and drown. Certainly get hurt even worse. But of course drowning would be a lot worse. So those trees have been removed, so that's not an issue anymore. So you can be fording that. I have requested information from and that's Daisy behind me, messing with the chickens, or in front of me. I have requested from the ATC when that bridge is going to be replaced. So some issues or some kind of time codes for you. That bridge, so 2020 is when that bridge got washed out, and then 2023 they announced that a new bridge was coming. So that's 3 years already, and they indicated that the design effort is ongoing and includes surveying and geotechnical exploration at the site of the former bridge. These activities are coordinated and approved by the U.S. Forest Service. Now, that's going to be important for you to remember that, because we're going to see how that relates to another bridge. Then in March 25th, they said the project was still ongoing. So that's 5 years after the washout, after the bridge was no good. And so this is 2026, 6 years later. There's been no update. I have requested that from the ATC. In all fairness, I've just requested a couple days ago. So the ATC information officer said she would get back to me. But this is relevant because this applies to the Great Gulf Bridge across the Peabody River there. So remember last week we talked about that a design firm had been awarded to go ahead and design the replacement. So they're not going to repair it, they're going to redesign it and replace it. And we talked about, okay, all that's got to be vetted out. So just like the Lick Creek Bridge, the Peabody Bridge is maybe even worse because it's in a wilderness area. So there's even more red tape to go through in a wilderness area than there would be in an area that's just under the purview of the U.S. Forest Service or the National Park Service, what have you. Just expect that Peabody Bridge, just like it's 6 years later, and we really don't know when that's going to be replaced at Lick Creek. We got no update. Same way with the Peabody Bridge. I said last week it could be 2 or 3 years. Now I'm saying it could be 6 to 10 years, 6 to 8 years, something like that. But it ain't going to be replaced anytime soon. So for the next couple of years, folks, you're going to have to deal with that detour they got up there. You're going to have to deal with, if you're NOBO, whether or not you have to backtrack a few miles once you get down there, and it's too much water moving across there to ford it. And SOBO, you're going to have to deal with, really, if you decide not to take the detour and miss things like the Wildcats and some other iconic places on the trail, you're going to have to backtrack a long way, many, many miles to get out of there. So keep all that in mind. Now back to the storm we had that moved through Connecticut. Same one that moved through Pine Grove Furnace area, and the Appalachian Trail there in Pine Grove Furnace is open and in good conditions. It's unclear about blowdowns north and south of that park. So if anybody out there knows if there's any blowdowns just to the north and the south of Pine Grove Furnace, let me know. Leave a comment down below or send me a DM. I'm sure hikers out there would like to know. The stretch of the AT from approximately Belter's campsite, which is NOBO mile 1497, to Salisbury, which is NOBO mile 1508, that was impacted, and shuttle driver Douglas Stifler says it's all passable except for NOBO 1508 from Route 41, Under Mountain Road, Salisbury. And he indicated, this was yesterday, that may be cleared today. I pinged him today, and I told him yesterday, let me know if it gets cleared. I'd like to let the masses know. And I have not heard back from him other than to ask me who the heck I am, which is understandable before he starts DMing people that he doesn't know. But if no matter who you are out there, if you'd let me know how it is in Connecticut, I'll post it out and let people know there if any of that has been cleared there from mile 1497 to mile 1508. That's NOBO mile. Let me know, and I'll send out a special bulletin on that, whether it's been cleared or whether it has not been cleared. Whispers, our northern correspondent, he sent me that information as well. Of course, I had that from several people. he said that that area had been hit with 60 to 80 mile per hour straight line wind. So, yeah, that's like a Mack truck coming through there on those big trees. He also said some hikers have bypassed this section by shuttling or hiking the 2.5 road miles up to the Blue Blaze Undermountain Trail, which connects to the AT 1.8 miles up at Riga Junction, which is Nobo mile 1512.7. So good advice there, Whispers. Appreciate that. The ATC does mention the same mileage, and they've indicated that hikers should actually avoid this area. So that would mean if they're saying avoid that area, that means that's an acceptable skip around for you, and you would still be eligible for your 2,000 miler award through the ATC if that's something that you're concerned about getting. American Dad, he reported to us early, and he also indicated up there at the campsite that it took forever to find his way around. Part of that issue up there is the limestone spring shelter is closed due to a damaged tree from the recent storm. So that's at Nobo mile 1504. He said a large maple tree is hanging down right over the front of the shelter. And so that's liable to come down at any time. That's what we call a hangman or dead man hanging, whatever. You don't want to be around that when it comes down. So the camping area is still open. They've got camping pads there. The privy's still open. The water source is still open there. You can still use that, but don't use the shelter. Stay away from that area until you see that that tree has been moved from the limestone spring shelter. Fort Belknap Tribal Police have put out a missing persons asking for your help there for a 26-year-old American indigenous person, a man, stands approximately 5'8" tall. He reports that his name's Isaiah, and his mom had last seen him somewhere around June 18th or June 23rd, and he reported he was going to hike the Appalachian Trail. So he got started there in Pennsylvania, and so if you see this gentleman out there on the trail somewhere, if you could get in touch with local law enforcement or the Montana Missing Persons Clearinghouse. He's from Montana, that's why, and that's where the report was originated from. And the number's down below, 406-444-2800. If you could get in touch with that, or just call 911 and let them know. And then we got another missing person. This is 55-year-old Jay Nielsen, 5'10", 130 pounds, so rather thin, blue eyes. His hair should be shoulder length, kind of dark silver beard, primarily gray. He indicated he was going to hike the Appalachian Trail starting in Jefferson, Maryland at Crampton Gap Shelter. I don't know, and it's unknown if he's Nobo or Sobo. He's got a forearm tattoo. Here's a picture of it there. He is listed as missing, and the police from Belton, Missouri are looking for him. That number is 816-331-5522. Please call them and let them know if you see this person somewhere out there on the trail. His folks are looking for him as well. Typically, I have a lot of people that say, hey, we're looking for this hiker. Can you help us out? Can you put it on your channel? Well, unless the police, a report's been done and the police are out looking for him and there's a number for law enforcement that people can contact, I don't put that out simply because I have had people before say, I can't find my son. I hadn't been in contact with him for several days, several weeks. Can you put on your channel I'm looking for him? Well, no, we don't do that unless it's a true missing persons. And the reason is some people just get on the trail to get away and they don't want to contact their parents or anybody else. They're out there to get away for a reason. If they're truly missing and their parents are really worried about them, then there would be a missing person, or their loved ones are worried about them, there would be a missing person, and at that point we accelerate it to the next level. So not that I don't want to help people out, but we can't put every missing person on here, certainly, and so we tend to keep with just the ones that we can verify with the police department. And then we had a hiker ford the Kennebuck River. I'm not going to mention his name. I consider him a friend. He's a mainstay on this channel, but that is not a good thing to do. ATC doesn't want you doing it, and that's for a reason, because that river is dam controlled, and they are liable to release water whenever they need power, and you don't know when they're going to release. They don't have a particular schedule. And so here's kind of a graph of the water levels there on that river, and you can see it's up and down. And you know the peaks are when they let a whole bunch of water come through at one time, and if you're in the middle of that river, you're going to get caught up in that. There have been hikers that have died crossing across that ford there because they didn't want to wait on the ferry, or the ferry, it wasn't a time of year when the ferry was there, although that's typically a really cold time of year, and you're going to get hypothermia from fording it anyway. For whatever reason, I think this hiker actually did get on the ferry, but for whatever reason he wound up fording it as well too. So please do not do that. Wait on the ferry. It can only take like 2 folks at a time. I get that, but just wait on them. And we don't need anybody out there getting killed because they're stuck on stupid. I'm just gonna put it out there. So my friend who did it, he knows that how much I appreciate him, and that's not derogatory to them, but to him, but please do not do that. And then up in Kent, we had some over 75 first responders that had to respond to a hiker that had a heat injury. They were 1.5 miles in on the AT in Connecticut, and apparently they were in a really rough section of Connecticut. I didn't know Connecticut had that rough a section, but the volunteer fire department chief said that they had like 850 feet of elevation gain over really rough terrain. So I guess that's why it took 75, because they had to trade off carrying this person out that had heat injuries. That's significant heat injuries that they could not treat them there on the spot, get them to the point where they could walk their way out on the trail. They had to carry them out on a gurney, or Stokes basket rather. And 75 first responders is a lot of people to mobilize, a lot of infrastructure to mobilize. And actually there were 3 first responders that succumbed to heat injuries. 2 had to go to the hospital. 1 was just treated at the scene. So we don't ever want to have that. And when people go into the woods not prepared, and actually the police chief, he said that these folks were prepared. They had water, they had communication devices. It was just a bad day for them. And I get that. So I don't know if they were out of shape or what happened. Maybe they were pushing it too much, but it doesn't matter. Just keep in mind that if you go in unprepared and that results in you having to call first responders, you're putting all those people at risk. In this case, there was 3 that actually succumbed to. Everybody's fine now, including the injured person. However, it looks like it took about 7.5 hours to get him out from the time the call was made. So that's something you need to understand too. If you go in there and get hurt or get injured, what have you, it ain't gonna be somebody coming in there just like that. You can't snap your fingers and get somebody there. Even if you got a bailout device, a GPS with a bailout button on it, that you can just hit that button and it's gonna call somebody. They're not gonna get there that quick. And then not part of the Appalachian Trail, but part of the Smokies is the LeConte Lodge. They are tearing down the old recreation building and going to be building a new one. So that is taking place now. So they're having an airlift crews up there and airlift supplies and everything up there to get that done. But that is happening now. So they'll be shutting down the road that goes through Newfound Gap sometimes to make those airlifts. So just keep that in mind when you're going through the Smokies up there. Don't think they'll be shutting down the trail to do that, but it could cause, since they're shutting down the Newfound Gap road, it could cause you to have problems with shuttles getting into Gatlinburg or Cherokee while they're waiting on the road to clear. So just keep that in mind. I had an F-bomb from the Camino. If you watched any of my Camino, you know that I ran into a thru-hiker from the Appalachian Trail who was thru-hiking the Camino. His name was F-bomb, and he had asked me about my trail plans coming up. So I always appreciate that. I always like to share what my plans are. So hopefully in July, maybe the 1st of August, I am looking at doing a short 40-50 mile run to finish up the northern part of the Shenandoah National Park to Snickers Gap. And then in late August, the last week of August, I'll be up in doing New York and Connecticut with Dianimal. So Dianimal's a hiking buddy of mine. We hike together. This will be our 3rd year hiking together. So we've done Pennsylvania last 2 years, and because I was working at the time, and I'm not now, but because I was working at the time, I couldn't stay out as long as he had the opportunity to stay out, and so I couldn't stay with him. So he's in front of me, but I'm just going to go up there, and we're going to hike New York and do as much as Connecticut as we can, and then go from there. And I also understand that Crazy Hair from the Lookout Hostel there up in northern Pennsylvania, he may be joining us for the last part of our hike. So excited about hiking with Crazy Hair. Met him in yard sale a lot. Great people. Never have hiked with him, so looking forward to doing that. Still got Camino vids coming up, folks, so look out for that. That's all I got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we hope to see you out here.